Welcome Dick with his presentation, Pathways Enhancements, Let's Make It Happen. Dick.
Thank you, Mimi. Today we're going to talk about enhancements that have been recently released in Pathways. For those of you who don't know, in October 22nd, there were some changes that were made in the Pathways program. And tonight, that's what we're going to be focusing our time on. And during this session, I don't know if I have to ask Mimi, did you have a chance to give anybody some assignments? Okay, you did. Great. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move into what we're going to be talking about. And specifically, I'm going to give you a little bit of overview about Pathways in general, just so that we are all on the same page of what Pathways is about. And then we'll talk about specifically the enhancements. And the enhancements will be talked about by each level that we go into in the Pathways program. And then what paths are going to be affected, as well as what stays the same in some of the resources. And finally, what the next steps are for each of us. For those of you who have already, how many of you have gone into Pathways already? Most of you have. Okay, it looks like all of you have. So you're somewhat familiar with at least there are 6 paths available to us in the Pathways program right now. And for the Pathways program, we have specifically at each level a series of projects that each of us can work on. And there are 5 levels within each path that we choose. Within each of those levels, there are currently a series of projects that we work on. So for example, at level 1, it's the basic stuff. We work on our icebreaker. We do a speech on writing a speech with purpose and delivering it, of course. An introduction to vocal variety and body language, as well as evaluation and feedback project. So each of the different levels that we work on have requirements where we deliver a speech in the club. And that comes out to
each has requirements.
Each path has a requirement. Each level has each level has individual. I'm sorry, Mark. What was that?
You said have instead of has at first.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I should be corrected on that, getting the right language. The point here is that each individual level has projects that we work on. When we start looking at what the enhancements are, we're going to talk about those. First of all, what I just talked about, the 5 levels, the projects, speech projects within those 5 levels, that all stays the same. The requirements there are the same. There's about 15 or 16, depending on which path you choose, speeches that you deliver in Pathways. The main item that's changing, number 1, is that we now have an opportunity to get credit for participating in our meetings, taking on meeting roles. And we'll talk about what those meeting roles are because they vary depending on what level you're working on. We'll get into that in a few minutes. Also, part of the new enhancements that are coming out or came out in Pathways are education sessions that we're required to give, and that's in upper levels. When we get into levels 3 through 5, that's when we have an opportunity to present education sessions to the club. And I'll get more into exactly what those sessions are as we get further into this. So when we talk about serving the club, it's really when you take on a meeting role, that's what you're doing. So tonight, Mimi is our Toastmaster. She's conducting the meeting. She's making sure that everything goes smoothly. We have Yahira taking on the timing. So we're serving the club by taking on those meeting roles. And now, because we're taking on meeting roles, we can get credit for them in our Pathways journey, which is kind of a neat thing. Roles also build up. So you start off, you'll maybe do a table topic speaker role, level 1, and you'll work up to maybe other levels where you'll be a Toastmaster. The whole point is that it's like the program itself, the different levels, same thing when you work on different meeting roles. Member and VP roles will record. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. In addition, we also have what we call education series that can be presented in the club. These education series are already prepared. You don't have to worry about what the content is. They're pre-prepared by Toastmasters International, and they're given in, like I said, levels 3 through 5. And then we have also a Better Speaker series, which are in level 4, and Leadership Excellence Series is only in level 5. And I'll talk more about those in a minute, but the point is that you don't have to worry about preparing any of those education sessions. All you need to do is study them and be ready to give them. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Most of them are 10 to 15 minutes in presentation time. In terms of the meeting roles, level 1 has really 3 different roles that you can choose from. The table topic speaker. So tonight, if you're a table topic speaker, you ought to record that you've done it in this meeting. Evaluator, which is actually part of level 1. If you've done the evaluation portion of level 1, that can count toward this being an evaluator in the meeting. And you can be a timer or R counter. There are no education series requirements in level 1. Remember I said those are in levels 3 through 5. The icebreaker is really recommended to be given prior to your first journey into doing table topics. But some of you have actually jumped in even before you've given your icebreaker speech, or after you've given your icebreaker speech. Finally, level 2 is another opportunity to do meeting roles: grammarian, table topic master, evaluator, and then Toastmaster, timer, or counter. Again, no education series are in that level. Doing these, again, are benefiting not only you to learn how to do these things and get a chance to speak, but it's also benefiting the club. In level 3, again, we talk about meeting roles: Toastmaster, evaluator, table topic master, or this one here is introductory mentor. That's kind of a new thing that they put in there. It's not real clear on what they wanted us to do there, but if you are helping somebody get started in Toastmasters, that would qualify, I can tell you right now. And then this is where the new education series pop in, where a successful club series. And for the successful club series, we got the speech options there are creating the best club climate, or meeting roles and responsibilities, where you can give that speech telling people what the meeting roles and responsibilities are, keeping the commitment. How do we commit ourselves to Toastmasters and engage ourselves? And then going beyond the club, what's outside the club that we could be involved with as well. So that's the first time that you would be required to give an education speech project. You only need to choose one of those for that level 3.
Hey, Dick, that's so interesting about the best club climate. What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, for the club climate, it really is, are we doing the kind of things to make the club be a quality club? Do we have people engaged? Are people coming to the meeting? Are they excited? Are they enthused about being there? Do they get engaged while they're here? Do they take on meeting roles? So for level 4, it's again, we're looking at doing some meeting roles, and we have choices there again. And then the education series is a little bit different here, where we have another possibility for a successful club series or a better speaker series. But when we look at the successful club series, there are different choices this time. Finding new members, closing the sale, how to be a distinguished club, and Toastmasters education program. I can tell you this, somebody asked me years ago, this is when I was first starting in Toastmasters, they said, Dick, do you think you could give a presentation on the Distinguished Club program at our district conference? I'm like, I don't know. Well, it's all put together for you. All you have to do is present it. I said, gee, I don't know. I guess I could try. And you'll be surprised how quickly you can learn something when you have to present it. It really makes a difference. And so there's an opportunity to learn more about Toastmasters by engaging and taking on some of these projects at the education sessions in levels 3 through 5.
More opportunities to be long-winded.
That's right. Yeah, no, hopefully not. But better speaker series is another option. Actually, you need to do one of each. You need to do a successful club series and a better speaker series, one of them. And for better speaker series, what better than to talk about how people can be a better speaker? Maybe how to be better at impromptu speaking, or how to choose a title or choose a topic for your speech, or how to start a speech, or how to focus your speech and prepare and practice and using body language. So there's lots of opportunities for you to maybe learn something new and then share it with the rest of the members in the club. Chris?
So if I'm not at a level 4 yet, can I go ahead and do these to get these out of the way?
Great question. Can you do these before you get to level 4? Absolutely. You just mark it in your, and we'll talk about how you can mark it up. Be able to get credit for it before you even get to level 4, if you're inclined to make that happen. Absolutely, you can do that. Yep. So now what we're talking about here in this level 5, those meeting roles, general evaluator needs to be done twice, Toastmaster needs to be done twice, evaluator needs to be done twice. So there's really 6 times plus one other one. So there's 7 times where you need to do a meeting role at that level 5 session. And then 1 successful club series and 1 leadership excellence series. And the leadership excellence series is something new. And then for the successful club series, there's a choice of 3 moments of truth. We've done the moments of truth here in the club before. It's longer than 10 to 15 minutes, I can tell you that much. Same thing with evaluate to motivate. Done properly, it's a little bit longer. And mentoring can be a little bit longer as well. But you're at level 5, so a lot of the level 5 speeches tend to be a little longer than normally expected. In addition, you need to do one of the leadership excellence series. This is when we get a chance to teach people some aspect of leadership that would be valuable to them. You learn it by picking up that presentation and then presenting it to the rest of the audience. And this is kind of a summary, looking at levels 1 through 5 of what you need to do in terms of by the way, I'll have this slideshow available for everybody. It tells you on the meeting roles what you need to do. And then finally, for the education series, levels 3 through 5, which types of successful club series, better speaker series, or leadership excellence series that you need to do. So the leadership, successful club series helps the club and it helps you. The leadership excellence series gives us an opportunity to share leadership ideas, getting better at being better leaders. And of course, better speaker series, again, will help us be better speakers by focusing on specific aspects. And these apply to all 6 of the paths that I showed in one of the earlier slides. All 6 of the paths, these type of requirements. In order for you to get credit for like a level 1, you would need to do the level 1 projects that we talked about initially. In addition, those meeting roles have to be done in order to get credit to do level 1. Good news is, if you're participating in the meetings and taking on meeting roles, it's kind of automatic. So levels 1 through 2 are pretty much a lot easier, but then you get to level 3 and you start doing some of the education series. It's a little more complicated, a little more time involved because you have to prepare another speech, if you will, in order to be able to do it. But reality is, in terms of speeches, it's only 5 more, 2, 4, 6, 7. Let me count the numbers again. I had that right in my head. I think it's 7 more speeches that you need to do in the education series. Okay, so the existing project requirements stay the same. If you've already completed a level, if you've done a level 1 or level 2 or even level 5, if you've done that and already completed it prior to October 22nd, you don't have to go back and retrofit and do some of these, any of these education series or any of these.
Is this supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes?
But no, this is not a 5 to 7 minute speech. No.
Oh, what's the time on it?
It's 10 to 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we'll have some Q&A here in a minute.
That was my bad assumption, sorry.
The completed levels remain the same, as I said. They remain completed. I don't know if any of you are in any of the legacy paths. There are 5 other paths that are not those 6 that I showed initially. But if you're in one of those, you don't have to go back and do the education series or the better speaker or any of the meeting roles. As I mentioned, there are materials available. Toastmasters International prepared them, and I'll show you in a second where you can get those. Each level in Pathways Basecamp has a link for you to get the information you need to do any of these projects, these additional projects, including a description of what is required for the role, as well as the specifics on any education series. And so, for example, in Toastmasters.org, there is a file that actually tells you club meeting roles. And if you don't even, it's really a good tool if you're starting off in Toastmasters, but in order to really understand what you need to do if you're gonna sign up for a role, it's good to take a look at that and see what that's all about. In addition, there's the Successful Club Series, Better Speaker Series, the Leadership Excellence Series. I'm supplying a link that gives you all of them, but within any, if you're working in a project or in a specific project, a specific level, in that level, it will tell you exactly what you need to do, and there's a link to get to that specific thing that you need to do within that. But if you download all of these, you'll have them on your computer. You don't have to worry about searching for it in the future. And then finally, tracking tool. There's a tracking tool that I'm not going to show right now, but if you want to track it separate from what you have to do within Basecamp in Toastmasters, you can track it, because some of these are not being tracked, like the speakers. For any time you take on a meeting role, it's a little clunky to get the tracking. I know Chris and I have talked about various things, but this tracking tool, if you want to use it, you can, what's nice is after you've completed it, you can give it to a Basecamp manager, take a screenshot of it and give it to a Basecamp manager, and they can then see what you have done, what you've accomplished. Now, it's not opening up very well. It's there, sorry. But it's a nice file that has been generated to be able to let people, there's, gotta love AI. But in here, you can mark down all your leadership roles that you've done within the club, and kind of keep track of it that way, because they didn't build it into Basecamp 100%. It's a little bit awkward, and hopefully they'll fix that in the coming months and weeks. But anyway, bottom line is we have the key thing to remember is that it is different. Get back over here. So our goal now is to understand the meeting roles, and you can do that by pulling up that file I mentioned, review and download the education series, sign up for meeting roles, engage by preparing and presenting some of these education modules, and then finally you can track your own requirements. Any question? I'm going to ask right now if you have any questions. I covered a lot of territory. Yes, Chris.
For our club, I know it's officially, you can't count the meeting roles until you're in that level. Is that correct? That was how it was explained to me.
Why would that be?
That you have to be in the level in order to count the evaluator within. As an evaluator, you have to be.
Oh, for the evaluator role, that's correct, yes. The evaluator role would be the one where you'd, at least for the first level has an evaluation and feedback project. And within that evaluation and feedback project is to be an evaluator. And if you take on and do that, it also counts as being an evaluator for taking on a meeting role. I don't know if that answered your question correctly or not.
Kind of for that, but yeah.
But you can do a level 5 education series if you want, even though you're working in level 1, but you won't get credit for it until you finish level 5. Yeah, if that's that. I don't know if that was your question.
That was my question, because that's not what TI sent out. They sent out you had to be in the level when you completed the roles.
I don't know why.
Double check. I don't either. I was just wondering if you heard.
My personal opinion is you don't have to, but if they've said that, I've missed that. But thanks for asking. I will check on that and let everybody know.
So why are we making this harder for us to get through the paths here? I mean, it seems like it's just more work that we have to do as Toastmasters. It's like we should be, make it easier.
Well, there's two things about that, Louis, and I'm glad you asked the question. Number one, when you're taking on meeting roles, as I mentioned earlier, you're helping yourself by learning how to lead a meeting, how to do the kind of things that we need to do within the Toastmasters program, but you're also serving others in the club by taking on the meeting roles. That's number one. Number two, for the education series, we are really gonna be a top-notch club, and a lot of other clubs will be too, by understanding better what this whole program of Toastmasters is all about. And there's lots of opportunities to learn skills, both in being the presenter as well as being the person that's being presented to, in order to be able to gain the benefits that we really want to out of Toastmasters. It really, yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer for people to get done, if you will, all the way through a path, but I think the progress right now is such that I haven't seen a whole lot of people aggressively, except for maybe Chris, go through the Pathways program in top speed, and I don't think it's going to be a significant difference in terms of the speed for people. But yes, it is going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Yes.
Murad is going through at a good clip.
Yeah, Varad is going through a pretty good clip as well. Yes. Any other? Yes.
I've noticed when I sign up for a role in advance, it seems to give me credit on the site. If I show up like tonight where we didn't fill roles, is that something I have to go back then and
Well,
fill, or is that something that happens over?
The thing is, when you are in base camp, or using that form that I was just showing, you might want to track it for your own benefit, so that when you turn in your level or your path, whichever, to be getting credit for it, that you know you've done it.
Okay.
You can certainly, for us, Easy Speak is nice, because if you do a meeting role, it is captured. We have that.
Okay.
What we don't have necessarily, I guess we would have the education series as well. There's a couple of goofy, that's not a good word. There's a couple of different meeting roles that they've identified. The mentoring one, for example, that I've introductory mentor. That's not, you can't see that anywhere in Easy Speak. But, we'll figure out a way to capture that. But, so we could capture all the meeting roles pretty much using our Easy Speak program, yes. When you sign up, if you're here and you do it, but if you just sign up and don't show up, no, we won't give you credit.